Morning, everyone, and welcome to the licensing panel virtual meeting this morning. We'll start by a round of introductions. My name is Amanda Pinnock. I'm the chair of the licensing panel. Can I ask my colleagues to identify themselves? Councillor Allison?
Good morning. I am Councillor Karen Allison. I'm a panel member.
Councillor Sokal, you've got your mute on.
Yeah, I'm on. Oh, hello. Good morning. I'm Councillor Mohan Sokal. I'm the panel member. Thank you.
Okay, the council's legal representative.
Good morning. My name's David Stickley. I'm a solicitor and I'm here to give any legal advice to the panel if they may need it.
The licensing officers.
Hi, I'm Jordan Barrett. I'm a licensing officer.
Hi, good morning. It's Laura Dobson, Senior Licensing Officer here as well. Thank you.
Okay, the applicant and the applicant's representative.
Hey, good morning. My name is Nick Temper and I am the applicant's representative this morning. I've come from the licensing guys. Now, I should point out that my client is having all sorts of difficulties hearing. So just bear with him. It's Darius Dosky. Darius, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, yeah.
Okay, smashing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So in terms of objectors then, we have ward councillors who are objectors, but they're not here today and they've sent in written representations. So just to confirm, the meeting today is being webcast and recorded, and I'll quickly run through the agenda before we get onto the main item. So minutes of the previous meeting, which was held on the 21st of July 2020, I can approve those. I think I was the only one here today. Do any of my colleagues have anything of interest to declare?
Nothing from me.
Councillor Sokal?
Nothing, Chair.
Thank you. Admissions of the public?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. Deputations and petitions, we haven't had any, have we?
None received, no.
Okay, any questions by the public?
None received again, Chair.
Lovely, okay. So we'll go straight into the application this morning, and it's an application for grant of a premises licence in respect of Ravensthorpe off licence situated at 618 Huddersfield Road, Ravensthorpe, Dewsbury. Okay, so can I invite the licensing officer, please, to outline the application?
Thank you. They've applied for sales of alcohol 7 days a week, and the hours that they've applied for is 8 AM in the morning to 11 PM in the evening, and that is both for it's for off sales of the premise. They submitted the application form, I believe, in September. I'm not sure the exact date, but yeah, it's been out to the objection period, and the ward councillors have put their objections forward.
Thank you. Have you come to the end?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they've just applied for the sales of alcohol 7 days a week.
Okay, thank you. Do my colleagues have any questions at this stage for the licensing officer?
Nothing from me.
Nothing.
Okay. So I have a few questions. So you mentioned that ward councillors have put in representations about this. Are you able to comment at this stage on what's been said?
Yeah. Just give me a second. I'll just get it up. I won't be a minute.
If it helps, the ward colleagues indicate that there may be a high risk of antisocial behaviour in the area if the application is granted.
Have we lost him? There was something came up.
Mr. Barrett, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so as you've said, the objections are in relating to ASB and social behaviour, and they've said that they believe there's cases in there for street drinkers, and they become a public nuisance as such if the application is granted. I think that was the same situation across all three ward members. They all was in agreement with each other that this application would have that effect on the licensing objective.
Okay, are you able to comment on what's been said?
Give me a second.
Councillor Pinnock, hi, it's Laura Dobson here. Sorry, I was just going to say, just to comment on the objections that have been put forward. Whilst they are relating to the licensing objectives, obviously, in terms of the public nuisance and crime and disorder, the application was circulated to Environmental Health and the police, and no representations were made on their behalf. Other than the fact that there was concerns over public nuisance and crime and disorder, there was no statistics put forward as part of those representations.
That's really useful to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Semper, do you have any questions for the licensing officer?
No, ma'am.
No questions at the moment. Okay. All right. Can I invite Mr. Semper for you to make representations then on behalf of your client?
Surely, ma'am. Surely. Good morning. Now, before you and the panel is the application itself. We've also provided printouts for the last 6 months of crime and antisocial behaviour data from the Home Office Crime Mapper site, which is compiled from the police statistics, which shows that there is a low level of both around the premises site. Lastly, we've provided graphs to show you that Kirklees is the safest by far of all the divisions in the West Yorkshire police area, and that crime is actually dropping. So well done to Kirklees and your very own licensing officers. Consequently, I let all those documents and the statistical returns speak for themselves. So I'm grateful for the site of the three representations. In their short opinion, there is a problem with this application. For the reasons of time and clarity, I will deal with them largely together, as essentially the representatives dismiss this application out of hand with no offer of compromise or suggestion of modification. I do understand their position, and I will explain now why I beg to differ. As members of the licensing subcommittee, you will already be aware that objections can only be made on the grounds that this application does not promote the 4 licensing objectives. The first point is this: the responsible authorities have a statutory responsibility to promote the licensing objectives. For example, the police are the lead agency for the prevention of crime objective and have all the facts, figures and experience needed to come here and argue vehemently against this or any application if it does not support the licensing objectives. But they are not here. I suggest that there is a very good reason for that. I submit that the police have not objected because this application does indeed support the licensing objectives, and there is no good and valid reason to object to it in law or fact. Likewise, no other responsible authority has objected. If there was anything to object to, they are statutorily and duty bound to be here and object to it. I believe that you can read a very great deal into their absence here today. So we're left with the representations, which is a euphemism for objections, as you've rightly identified, covering 4 issues, and I'll group them, namely 1, no need for another licensed premises; 2, crime and antisocial behaviour, including street drinking; 3, noise pollution; and 4, proximity to a bus stop. So I'll do the first, obviously. The argument for no need for another is specifically outside the remit of the licensing legislation. This is for your legal advisor, Mr. Stickley. Para 14.19 of the statutory guidance states, and I quote, this is the government's guidelines, okay, that need concerns the commercial demand for another, and it's a matter for the planning authority and the market. This is not a matter for a licensing authority to decide in discharging its licensing functions or for its statement of licensing policy. Therefore, the no need for another argument is is irrelevant in law, and just to make sure you got that, it's para 14.9 of the statutory guidance. Next, crime and ASV. I will now address you on the localised crime patterns. Now, as I've already proved, Kirklees enjoys low crime rates compared with its neighbouring policing areas, and those rates are falling. You'll find in your bundle that I have produced printouts of the official stats of the Home Office UK Crime Mapper site, which is based on the data produced by the West Yorkshire Police. Luckily, the mapper gazetteers the locations very near to the premises, and you can see the number and types of crimes and ASB broken down in Huddersfield Road for each of the last 6 months. Now, the figures are remarkably low for this location. I can go through them individually if you require, but you're all intelligent, sentient people. It all, as concerns all incidents taken together, it rumbles on at about 3.8 incidents per calendar month in the locality, which is less than 1 a week. Now, this is remarkably low crime for a similar location, in all fairness. But this is not a matter, for my opinion, as a former local policing lead for another city in the Midlands, but simply a matter of counting the numbers in front of you. Now, we have mention of street drinking. Very quickly on street drinking, the Police and Crime Act 2017 and the House of Commons Briefing Paper 5117, I'll give you that again, House of Commons Briefing Paper 5117, reminds us that drinking in the street or a public place is not an offence. It's not even an offence to drink in a controlled alcohol area. It is only an offence to refuse a request to cease drinking or surrender alcohol to an authorised person. I mention this as there is reference in one representation to people who buy drink and stand outside and young people might pass by, etc. We all know what is meant, but I believe we would all benefit from clarity on the actual UK law. Now, the next one is noise. I'm struggling to understand the reference to noise. Why do we think that the applicant is going to create a noise nuisance? Indeed, Environmental Health are the lead on this, and they are not here to object to the application. And the last one is proximity to a bus stop. This again is not within the remit of the licensing process, but sits within the planning orbit. Maybe it might sit in the Highways Department, but neither planning nor Highways Departments have raised any concerns or representations about this bus stop outside. So, how likely is a real and tangible rise in crime and ASB? How likely would that be were you to grant this licence to? I submit that these premises, operating under and committed to a set of licence conditions, like the ones that you see before you, and which are acceptable to the police themselves, would not undermine the licensing objectives and the local licensing policy. The representative's position is that were you to grant this application, then the situation will become worse. I gainsay that with respect. Selling alcohol responsibly will not cause a new localised spike in alcoholism or conjure up many more so far unidentified antisocial or criminally motivated street drinkers who will suddenly flood into the area. Why would they come and flood the area? The representatives have no evidence that this will happen. It is merely their opinion, based on speculation. You will, of course, be reminded by your legal advisor that speculation is excluded from the considerations by the victim in the famous Thwaites case. Our Honour Justice Black stated that you have to consider real evidence of actual problems. With respect, there is none of either before you. I must also remind you that you have not heard in this room or this meeting or seen on one piece of evidence in your bundles that speaks against this particular applicant or these premises to their detriment. So in conclusion, today's hearing is an evidence-based process in a quasi-judicial setting. There is no evidence before you of disproportionate crime and ASP issues. In fact, quite the opposite. We are bound by clear legislation and statutory guidance that precludes you from other extraneous issues entering your consideration. Now, we are offering a raft of conditions on this premises licence that will indeed promote the licensing objectives and have satisfied all the responsible authorities in Kirklees. The respectfully, I exhort you to grant this modest application in the terms within which it's been applied for. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Semper. I just have a few questions. You haven't told us very much about the applicant himself. Could you enlighten us a little bit? You know, what sort of experience does he have? Has he had a license before in respect of premises elsewhere?
Ma'am, Mr. Dostky is on the line, but he's having all sorts of technical issues. Darius, can you hear us?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Darius, the chair would like to know, what is your experience of selling alcohol, please, and business in general?
Say again?
What is your experience of business and selling alcohol in general, please?
Yeah, my experience is, when I went through the courses and when I see the logbook which I've been given, that will help me absolutely to prevent every single objective thing. It's been reduced. I haven't been reduced actually, this license. You know, there's always a challenge between legal thing and illegal thing. But because of your experience, I'm part of your. I've been taking these courses and I've been still learning and getting more information. I'm sure that will help me to prevent every single thing they expected it. It's all about.
Darius, that's very useful. Yes, indeed, you are qualified for a personal license and to run this business as a designated premises supervisor. What the chair is specifically asking is, what experience have you got of running a business like this before, please?
That will be my first time to run such business.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Did you get that, Matt?
But it doesn't mean that I cannot do it, because there is many people that started the businesses, but they what I need to do, I have to do more effort to learn more about the legal things to prevent wrong things happen.
Yes.
And I'm sure we will do it.
Darius,
by getting your help and JMC, yeah, no problem.
Okay. Did you get that, Chair?
I did. That's really useful. Thank you, Mr. Semper. Does any of my colleagues got any questions? Councillor Allison?
No, nothing. Thank you.
Councillor Sokal?
Yeah, Chair. Can I ask the applicant how long he been running this business on these premises, and is there any demand for this off license on these premises? Thank you.
Mr. Semper, did you hear that?
Yeah, right, okay. I'll, if you don't mind, I'll lead on this. Darius, how long have you had this shop?
Yes?
Is it open? How long have you had the shop? And is it open yet?
It will be, yeah, no, it will be, look, it is about 1 year we've got the shop. The reason we haven't opened, because when you open it, we should be absolutely perfect to prevent anything wrong happen. Otherwise, you know what I mean? Even if we get the license, we have to prepare everything. You have to learn any staff to come in. I have to teach them. I have to tell them. I have to give them this logbook that I've been given.
Darius, thank you. Okay, Chair. He says he's actually held the lease on this shop for a year, but he hasn't opened it because he's preparing to open it.
Yes, because of the coronavirus, it happens that all these things come up, so that stopped us to open it.
Okay, did you get that, Chair?
I did. That's very sensible. Thank you for that.
Okay,
Mr. Dostky.
The second part of the question, ma'am, the second part of the good councillor's question concerns the economic need for another licence premises, and I think that I dealt with that in my presentation, and I refer you back to para 14.9 of the statutory guidance on that.
Thank you. Councillor Sokal, do you have any more questions?
No, Chair.
And I hope that will go through quickly because we are paying the money from our pocket and it's affecting our economy anyway.
Darius, just let them ask the questions, my friend. Just if they need any more from you, they'll ask. Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you. So we have had objections from 3 ward councillors. That's Councillor Hussain, Councillor Pervez and Councillor Donovan. And each of the councillors have raised issues in respect of high risk of noise nuisance, criminality, and so on. So that's contained within the paperwork, and we have alluded to it in this meeting. Can I just confirm, have we had any representations from any other responsible authority?
No, we haven't.
None that have been served on us, ma'am, no.
That's really useful. Okay, so we'll move on to summing up then. Would the licensing officer like to sum up?
Yes, Chair. On the 3rd of September, we received the application for the grant of this premise licence for Ravensthorpe, off licence on 618 Huddersfield Road, Ravensthorpe. The application was made on behalf of a company called JMC Licensing Consultants. The licence activities applied for by the applicant are as follows: the supply of alcohol for consumption off the premise 7 days a week from 8 AM to 11 PM. There's nothing else to add on that other than it did go out to out to a consultation period, and the application was circulated to all responsible authorities, and no objections were received in relation to this application. Thank you. I think you're on mute.
You're on mute, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Semper, would you like to sum up?
Ma'am, I really sympathise with Mr. Jordan Barrett and the rest of you with the technical difficulties, and thank you very much indeed for your patience. I hope that we've explained our case fully. In conclusion, again, I'd say this is an evidence-based process in a quasi-judicial setting. There is no evidence before you of disproportionate crime and antisocial behaviour issues. In fact, I have served on you empirical evidence that shows quite the opposite. Now, we're all bound by clear legislation and statutory guidance that precludes you from considering other extraneous issues. Okay, we've offered a raft of conditions on this premises licence that will A, promote the licensing objectives, and B, has satisfied all your responsible authorities over there in Kirklees. And consequently and respectfully, I exhort you to grant this modest application the terms within which it's been applied for. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So thank you everybody for attending. Myself and my 2 colleagues will now need to consider the information that we've heard today and come to a decision about the application. So I will end the meeting here for now. The results of the decision you can watch it on the webcast. So that will be made available very soon once the decision has been made, and the decision will also be sent out to the applicants in writing. Thank you for attending, everyone.
And I would thank you for giving this attention to the people they asked for the license to reduce the crime in the UK, and especially in Mercia.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, ma'am. Thank you for the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. So the panel considered this morning an application for the grant of a premises licence for Ravensthorpe off licence, situated at 618 Huddersfield Road, Ravensthorpe, Dewsbury. We've had an opportunity to consider the information that was presented and the representations made. We've also considered the suggested conditions put forward by the applicant in the application. We are concerned that all 3 ward councillors in that area have made similar representations, and we have, of course, taken those into consideration. If the applicant does not keep the licence under control, then steps can be taken to reconsider the status of that licence, and that could involve the process of a review of that licence. So it's important that the applicant bears that in mind. But for today's purposes, the panel has come to the decision that we are agreeing to grant the licence as applied for. So thank you everyone for your time, and that's our final decision, and the decision will be sent out in writing to the applicant.